Welcome back to Humankind game. My name is Jumbo Pixel, and today we have actually a surprising amount of news to cover. In this video, firstly, I'd like to quickly highlight the Lunar New Year event. I won't spend long on it, but there are a couple of things you really should know. Secondly, this, a sneaky patch note that came out just a couple of days ago. Again, I'll cover this off relatively quickly, and there'll be time cards below if you know about it already. The meat will be this: what's next for Humankind? However, again, I've talked about this in a previous video. What I haven't discussed is this new information that was released this morning at the time of me recording this video. This is a Humankind patch update, a Humankind community event update, and that's right, it's a 3-for-1 special. Also, we're going to talk about what's next for Humankind and the new information that has been revealed around what we can expect from the next sort of 1 to 3, maybe more months in Humankind. Sit back and relax, let's jump in. First and foremost, I will quickly address the Lunar New Year event. This bad boy is already taking place, and it finishes on February the 16th. So at the time of recording, you have around 2 more weeks to participate. All you have to do this time, it's a lot more simple than the Dia de los Muertos event, is play as the 3 historically Chinese cultures in Humankind. If you're not familiar, that's Zhou in the ancient era, Ming in the era that we don't speak of, and then the Chinese culture in Humankind Games' contemporary era. Play as those and any era stars that you earn playing as those cultures at any point between now and when the event ends on February 16th will unlock points towards the community challenge. The rewards are fairly straightforward and kind of exciting if you'd like new content added to your game. We're talking games together rewards from player emblems, decorations, a new persona named Wang, a renowned mathematician, astronomer, and poet who lived in the 18th century. It's all very fun, a little bit of extra stuff to throw on, play as Chinese cultures, and you will be able to participate. Fairly straightforward. The next thing I want to talk about is the patch update. Again, a relatively quick update, but it's important to note what was included in it because I think some of you are going to be quite excited about 1 or 2 key fixes here. As you can see, the patch notes themselves are fairly light. It's multiplayer fixes, important fixes, and other fixes. Fixes. Did somebody say fixes? But seriously, there's one that I'd like to highlight other than the fixing being stuck in the Neolithic era, some multiplayer compatibility. It's actually the fact that they fixed the issue where the civics screen could be broken after loading a mod. Likewise, it wouldn't work until you restarted the game with mod.io. This is massive because this means mods work better. Previously, there's always been a little bit of a trade-off. If I run mods, do I run the risk of disabling my civics? Now, there are clever ways around it, depending on when you load up the mod and that kind of thing, but to the average player, that's not obvious or really accessible. So it's great to see that that's been fixed. This should make mods a lot more user-friendly, which is a win for everybody, whether you're making wonderful Atla mods or indeed playing them like me. Speaking of, let's move through to the guts of this video. What's next for Humankind? Before showing you the roadmap though, I just want to quickly mention that I am playing with 2 mods in this gameplay from today's live stream, and if you want to see me continue it tomorrow, if you're watching when this video first comes out, I'll be streaming at 9:30 PM GMT. Anyway, this roadmap was released, the What's Next for Humankind roadmap, when we had Humankind Day. Essentially, it says, this is the stuff we've already done, I should say. These are the cultures we've added with the DLC, and here's what we're looking to next. Now, since they released that, they went back and filled in some blanks and gave us some more juicy detail, and that's what I want to focus in on here. Specifically, I'm talking about some of this information. Information like this. They've gone back, looked at some of the things on that roadmap, like immersive empire names, something I know you're interested in. We talk about it in the members Discord. We talk about it on Twitter. I know it. Affinity balancing, sieges, all sorts of stuff. So let's break them down one by one and address each one as we go along. First up, and this is a massive one, changes to war support. I was talking to VB the other day about this, actually, and it's something that puts a lot of people off playing Humankind. What have they said? They've said, quote, many players have expressed frustration with wars coming to a sudden and sometimes premature end, often denying them the game they were aiming for. However, some people have also spoken out in support of the system. So, while we maintain the war resolution and surrender system, so both of these systems are staying in the game, they go on to say, we want to implement an option that allows the winner to continue pressing the war at a certain cost or risk. Basically, this is saying we're gonna keep war support in the game, it'll still be here, but war will not just whomp end on you all of a sudden. I hope they also address multi-party wars and conflict as a part of this, but I think the key takeaway here is that there will be an option to pursue a war and continue being the aggressor. My theory, maybe a stability impact. We'll have to wait and see. Could be industry as well. Next up, this is a fairly quick one, multiplayer hot join. While we're constantly working to fix any causes of multiplayer desyncs, they go to say, there may always be cases when a game desyncs or player disconnects. To help you get back into the game with your friends as quickly as possible, we are implementing a hot join system. Fairly straightforward. I would love to see this though. Nice to be able to just jump in, jump out of a game. Helps when things go wrong. Next up, and another big one that you've been calling for, it's immersive empire names. And they note that in their feedback, that loads of players have called for it, particularly I think if you're coming from the Civ mindset, where you're used to facing off against one opponent, but also if you're interested in telling stories and building a narrative, it can be difficult when everybody's changing all the time. You might be left frantically searching for opponents and friends like I am here. Either way, they've noted that we're working on a new way to refer to empires in-game that should also help players immerse themselves in their game. Exactly what I was just talking about. That storytelling element, that immersion, that we could maybe build on a little bit better. I'd love to hear your ideas for how you think they should do it in the comments below. It's a difficult one, I think. Next up, and maybe another difficult one, affinity balancing. This is the scientific affinity ability that converts everything to science, or the merchant ability that allows you, like I'm thinking about doing here, to spend influence to build resource extractors. Regardless, they've noted that while balancing is an ongoing process, we find that the strong power imbalance between different affinities, builders and scientists coming up particularly often, skews the feedback we get, not only about the power of the culture, but also about the game pace and other aspects. So we want to focus on rebalancing affinities first. I totally agree. It's really hard to get a feel for whether an affinity is strong or weak if you change your game pace, for example. So it'd be nice to see some standardization brought across this, and hopefully some more even cultures. Maybe we lift others up instead of pushing some down. Lastly, we have sieges and sorties. Sorties being when you run out and fight an opponent if they're besieging your city. Sieges often come up in criticism of the battle system. They do, I've heard this as well. Although, in my opinion, lots of AI behaviors. Anyway, they go on to say that while we have received much feedback on how the AI handles them, and we're working to improve that, we have also seen people raise the issue that halfway through the game, you lose the natural ability to build siege units while you're besieging a city, right? Instead, you're building separate units that you bombard with. Basically, what they're saying is we'll address the, quote, siege gap and give, I'm assuming, more options to build siege equipment or units on site when you're besieging a city. Of course, the precursor to that is that the AI doesn't just run out and ruin your siege every time. So we'll have to watch this space. This has been a jam-packed, fast-paced video. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you in the next one.